Hey guys, this is Torno. Today we're going to be talking about what I think is potentially one of the most underrated precons of all time. People kind of overlooked it a lot when it came out initially, which was, I think, was a bit disappointing because I was kind of looking forward to it, and then, looking at kind of test games and stuff like that when it was coming out, I was a bit skeptical. But then once I got it, I think it's honestly one of my favorite decks of all time. I talked about it in my previous video about decks, my favorite decks of the current ones that I've got. So I wanted to kind of talk about it a little bit more now because I think that it's important to kind of talk about the precons that people have kind of potentially missed and potentially kind of overlooked because of their theming, or because, they're like, oh, this might not be for me or something, because it might be your new favorite deck if you go pick it up, or even just test drive it before you pick it up. Before we get into it though, I just wanted to, remind people, if you want to subscribe, that would be great. We're trying to hit 4,000 subscribers at the moment. Our big goal by the end of the year is 10,000 subscribers. If we can hit by the end of December, I don't know what I'll do. Maybe we'll do like a big giveaway or something like that. How should I celebrate 10,000 subscribers? Let me know. And yeah, just talk about it down in the comments. So that way I can reply to you guys and talk about it. So the precon that we're talking about here is the Desert Bloom. I think when initially these precons from OTJ kind of came out, a lot of people overlooked this one. We kind of looked at it and it was a little bit like, what is exactly kind of going on here? What's up with this deck and stuff? And I've had a lot of time to kind of play around with it. I've upgraded my own version, played around with both the initial kind of precon that came out as well as my upgraded version of it. And it is honestly incredibly fun. From like the OTJ precons, there was a little bit of disappointment in regards to some of the reprints they did. There wasn't a huge kind of value in regards to the reprints. There wasn't like, it was mostly just kind of everyone looked at them and they're like, meh. The Stella Lee one looks nice, and the reprints within the, I think it was the Outlaw, what was it? The Outlaw one? What's it called? The Most Wanted one. Both of those kind of looked nice, but the Yuma one kind of slipped under people's vision, and I honestly am really shocked at how well this plays and how much enjoyment I got out from it. Now, it's not to be surprised that it is a Naya precon. I absolutely love Naya. It's my favorite colors of all time, so I'm really happy that this worked out. So the face commander here, Yuma, is essentially the Mandalorian, which is again another reason why I wanted to kind of make this deck. He costs a lot. Like, he costs 8. However, he does cost 1 less for each land in your graveyard. When he enters the battlefield or attacks, you can sacrifice a land. If you do, you get to draw a card. Card draw, really nice for sacking land. So from there you can kind of get what's going on. However, when a desert is put into your graveyard from anywhere, create a 4/2 green plant warrior creature token with reach. So that can be, if you get it from your deck, from your hand, from the land, from anywhere. If it enters your graveyard from anywhere, boom, now you are getting a green plant warrior creature token. You can make a lot of these. So having a look at the actual deck overall, you can kind of see what it's going for, even just straight up from the artifacts, right? It's straight up looking at this, you can see there's some kind of self-milling stuff going on. And it has done a little bit of kind of an identity crisis in some areas in regards to the secondary commander and some of the other stuff, is that it's kind of focused as well on plants. And that's the stuff that you look at and you're like, that could easily go. It's not awful. The plant stuff from the start isn't awful. Like, it does have use in regards to kind of buffing up the plant tokens that you're going to be creating from Yuma, but it's the kind of stuff that's like there for more for flavor and for like a secondary secondary flavor rather than your primary kind of, it's not your meat, it's your spice on top. So you can see a lot of the kind of stuff that's in it, and like Hazazon and stuff, all built around like deserts and sacrificing your lands and some landfall stuff as well, because you're going to be able to play lots of lands. Dune Channer is a card that really kind of brings this deck together though. He makes all of your lands, lands that you control and land cards you own that aren't on the battlefield, deserts. So anything becomes a desert then, which is really, really great, because it means that, you know, you've got a whole bunch of deserts out there from everywhere. You've got like Scoot Swarm, you've got other landfall stuff, as I said. You've got like a Sun Titan, which you kind of people look at and they're like, oh, now I can bring back like, you know, my creatures that died. No, you can bring back lands with this. It's just mana value 3 or less. Lands have mana value 3 or less. You've got like lots of great stuff that's kind of built in here already to be working alongside that landfall, sacrificing lands, and then bringing lands back from the graveyard. Your enchantments are basically kind of doing the same, some mill stuff, some buff stuff, etc. Your instants, again, built around that, just a little bit of kind of card draw, and being able to discard stuff selectively is good as well, because you can discard lands, because why not? The land base here is probably the part that is one of the bigger issues, because it doesn't have as many kind of deserts off the bat, which is an area that you can kind of go and do some clear kind of upgrades, and then you've got like a lot of ramps. There's lots of ramp in here, lots of ways to be able to get more stuff out, and lots of ways to be able to get lots of kind of deserts into your graveyard and then kind of bring them back, which is all working well towards Yuma. And Yuma out the box plays decently well, because you're kind of sacrificing your lands, getting more plant warriors, and then being able to do stuff with that. Now, I've gone and upgraded mine in a few different areas. Now, if I just go through here, I'm not going to be able to tell you exactly which cards I upgraded, which cards started out in the deck, and which cards didn't. I'll put a link to my actual Yuma deck down below, so that way you can check out what I have changed and what I haven't. But, you know, I kind of lent more into the actual, into the mill section, a lot of kind of self-mill and milling stuff, and then bringing those lands back as well, and other ways to be able to do stuff with my lands, as well as like making more use of my creature tokens. This is a very me deck, a very Naya deck, a very like built around you know, getting a lot of creatures out, and yeah, that's kind of how they play the game. So if we actually have a look at what I have gone and upgraded, you'll notice that there is again a whole bunch of extra mill stuff, some ways to be able to play additional lands. Aftermath Analyst, so this card here, if I bring this up here, which I shouldn't have done that way, is relatively cheap, only $1.84 from MKM, but it is a win con. Last time I was playing this at my local game store, I had 7 lands in the graveyard. I had Aftermath Analyst out there. I had Felidar Retreat out as well. All I had to do was sack the Aftermath Analyst, and I was going to be able to put 7 +1/+1s onto everything, and boom, now I've got a huge board. And he joins up, makes it all that so that all of the legendary triggers double, so you're getting more creature tokens out. There's just a lot of ways to be able to get more creatures out and be able to self-mill more. That's kind of where I lent more into, as well as like bringing the lands back as well. Life from the Loam is insane in this deck, but the real kind of big way that I have won a couple times with it is with Nahiri's Lithoforming. This is a 20-cent card. It is crazy. You sacrifice X lands. For each one you sacrifice, you draw a card. So if you've got a whole bunch of deserts out, you're sacking them. You're getting a whole bunch of tokens from Yuma. You're then going to be able to play additional lands as well, which means you're going to be able to get a lot of extra procs from all of your landfall, etc., etc. Lots of really great ways to be able to get stuff out. Omen Path Journey. So this here was from the big score. It is look through your library, find 5 lands with different names. All your deserts have different names, and then you get to exile them. Then you shuffle your deck, and then at the beginning of each end step, you're going to grab one and put it out. It is an insanely great ramp card, and from here, you're going to be able to get all your deserts out. Right? You get 5 deserts out with it really, really, really easily. Ojatark just to be able to triple all of those creature tokens that are coming out. And as I said, a lot of kind of extra mill stuff. Undergrowth Recon is a really, really great card. Water Leader's Call to be able to buff everything up. Zuran Orb, that's the kind of great thing about being able to you could sack any of your lands to gain 2 life, and from there you're also going to be able to, you know, sack your deserts and stuff. There's just a huge amount of stuff that I've kind of gone in and upgraded in regards to kind of more mill, more buffing stuff, and like the desert warfare alone is crazy. Most of the money that is gone into this, and I didn't buy this card, but I had it there, was Ojatark. Ojatark's probably the biggest upgrade alongside Life from the Loan, but a lot of the kind of smaller upgrades, like Bristling Bill, you don't need Bristling Bill. He's just great in the deck. A lot of the smaller upgrades in here, you don't need to kind of spend a huge amount of money on. You could probably do most of the upgrades here for I don't know, like $20 or something like that, maybe, easily within $50. So overall, you know, I just think this precon was kind of overlooked a lot. So I wanted to kind of talk about it a little bit. I really, really like it. I'd love to hear from you guys. What experience have you had with this Desert Bloom precon? Is it a deck that you've built? Is it a deck that now that I've talked about it, you're interested in? Or is it something that you just really haven't kind of looked into at all? As I said, I'll put the link to my version of it down below. I've changed, what is it? 34 cards. So I've done a huge amount of kind of changes to it. But it doesn't need that many changes. It's just that I like kind of going harder into my decks and I've slowly kind of upgrade them as I'm going, kind of Ship of Theseus it essentially. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Have a great day and goodbye.